Hi, and thank you for joining us today. This is our show, Mama Bears on Purpose. If you are new to us, we are so excited. This is a show that just wants to help you and equip you to live a godly life right where you are. We have a heart to encourage you, and that's why the show is called Mama Bears on Purpose. My name is Laura Sheffield, and today I think this is like one of the most amazing and kind of practical concepts, but I'm going to go over it with you, and maybe you've read it before, maybe you haven't, but I'm hoping to open up your eyes to a new way of thinking of what are we sowing? What does it look like when we sow into other people's lives? Now, this is a story that Jesus told, and so I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to relate it to the way that you live. So there's a story about a farmer. He was sowing seeds. And so if we think of our life, okay, I love this. This is like a couple years ago. A good friend of mine had texted me, and she's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that it's not meaningless, the seeds that you plant today. And it was like one of the nicest texts, kind of out of nowhere, but I've thought about it since. I've thought, if we are planting seeds wherever we go, whatever that may look like, words of encouragement, acts of service, something we might do. We go to our job site. Do we do a good job? What does our house look like? Are we taking good care of it? These days, I think some of it is kind of easy that you can text someone and text them some encouragement, a worship song, things like that. What does it look like? What do those seeds look like that we are scattering wherever we go? Well, I'm sure some of you watching this would say, there's crazy seeds planted everywhere. Like, this is nuts, the time and age that we're living in. And that might be true. But I'm talking today on this story, which is pretty neat. And if you've read it before, I want you to read it again and reread it with me. But in the sense that it will make a difference if you choose to be someone that is not only scattering seeds in the way that God designed you to, but what do they look like? What has been planted in your life? What kind of seeds are you producing in your life? So it's Matthew 13, 1-9. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by. Such large crowds gathered around him, and he told this parable. A farmer went out to sow seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. So it wasn't on the ground very long. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, but because the soil was shallow, the sun came up and the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Remember that word. That's like one of my favorite words, having no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked out the plants. Still others' seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop. So on the good soil, it produced a crop 60, 30, or 100 times what was sown. He who has ears, let him hear. I just love that story. So first of all, he was scattering seed. The farmer is like God, scattering seeds and watering us to bear fruit of righteousness. That's the plan. That's what we're supposed to do. It doesn't always happen like that. But we also plant seeds. Seeds of kindness, compassion, gentleness, love, mercy. Those are the type of seeds that we plant wherever we go. So in the first place, these seeds land where birds came and ate them up. So if birds are eating something, that means it's exposed, unprotected, and not tended to. So that's what happened with these first seeds. It was like, okay, like a taste of the faith, but nothing else happened for there, and nothing came of it. These seeds didn't go down, they didn't have any root, and they weren't even on good soil. So think about that. There will be some seeds sown in others' lives that really don't seem to change or affect that other person. And that's what happened here. Those seeds were down on the ground, but it was just okay for those birds to just eat them. So what is happening, not only with us, but with other people that some of these seeds are being sown into? What are they allowing in their life? Why does it seem like their faith isn't growing and that it's not being protected? All of that matters. And in one of the last shows that we did, we talked about the discipline over the devotion. That discipline isn't happening. In the second place, the seeds were scattered and it was rocky. Rocks always represent something in the Bible. But these seeds, they sprang up quickly. So even with the rocks, they sprang up quickly. So like here's the rocks, the plants kind of got around them, like around the rocks. But they died quickly because the soil was shallow and it had no roots. So here's the soil, and we all know that if we're trying to plant something or plant something in a garden, it's not going to just grow because of the top layer. It has to go down in there. And when it goes down in there, the roots like take hold on the soil. And these days we're reading about all kinds of things like we don't want growth hormones in our food, all these other things that like we would want to eat, good things for us. The soil matters. Like what is in the ground matters. So in this one, what are the roots? Roots are, and if you are a Christian, you have people in your life that in this one, they get excited about the gospel. They read the Bible for a little while. They might go to church a couple of times. Their faith might look like they have faith or lack thereof, and then it kind of just dies off. So that's what it looks like to have no roots. It is a little bit surfacey, the things that they do, but they don't quite attach themselves to God. They don't quite stay devoted to God. They don't stay in Bible study. They don't stay in community. Their prayer life kind of is there and then not there. They are wavering with circumstances going on in their life instead of having their faith stay strong. That's what it looks like for the plant to spring up and then it doesn't stay strong. It is not staying strong in its faith. Roots develop with time. And this is why we talked about a couple of shows ago with discipline. The everyday discipline of church, reading, praying, trusting God in all circumstances, allowing your faith to be strong, even in things that you don't agree with, that might be God's will in your life. But you develop these roots that just get down in there and you're immovable. I love the word meek, because meek, for some people, if they aren't looking at the true definition of the word, might sound like weak. But that doesn't mean just because something sounds like it, it is. But if you are meek, you're immovable. Well, if you have strong roots, you are immovable. Well, the third seed, they fell among the thorns. Nobody wants to be on thorns. I remember my grandma had rose bushes growing up, and I loved her roses. Like I loved picking them and making like a pretty vase and put it on her table. And sometimes I'd go over there and just do like tea parties as I got older. You know, roles reversed somewhat. And so I would bring the kids when they were little and we would do stuff for both my grandmas. And that was one thing we would do. But I would pick her roses. Well, I did not like the ones that had thorns. Who does? But I remember sometimes not realizing it, or I really just wanted one of those gorgeous roses and I would just get cut. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And I try to wear gloves or like cut them off, but I would always end up getting cut somehow. Thorns represent something that is like a snag. It's something that people really don't want. Nobody wants that type of pain. Nobody wants that, like if it's you and you are getting cut, like, you know, bloodiness or whatever it is, you don't want that. But it's also like a bump, kind of like in the road. So in this sense, when there is thorns and the seeds are right there, it's the distractions and the worries and the things of this life. And these thorns, they choke out the plants. So I know that we've all been there at certain points, and I know that we've seen people that it might be that they have a faith, but it almost looks like their faith shrivels because of circumstances or things that they're going through. And so we have to be very careful as believers to keep our roots strong, to keep that disciplined life, because there's going to be people around us that those seeds in their life, or even ones that we thought that person was walking strong. But the things that have happened in this life have choked out their faith, and they are not walking strong, especially with things that are going on in this world right now that they might not get, that they might not understand. There's so many things going on around us right now that we have to keep our eyes focused on God, focus on His word and in prayer. But in that particular sense, those seeds were scattered and the faith just shriveled. And that's what it looked like. So the thorns represent the worries and the cares in this world. Their faith wasn't strong because it got overpowered by the anxiety and the stress that they felt by everything going on around. The fourth seed fell on good soil. Repeat after me. good. I like when you even think of the story of creation, when God was making everything that he made, from the animals to the plants to the people, the sun, the moon, the stars, the fish, and he said it was good. So we know that God likes when things are good. When he was pleased with his creation, he said that was the fourth day and it was good. That was day and night and it was good. So we know in this parable, when the seed fell on the good soil, we should take note. What does that mean when seed falls on good soil? Well, when I've been planting things, I know that it needs to have the proper sun. I know that the soil has needed to be mixed for a while with like regular dirt and the type of soil that it needs for planting, certain vitamins in that soil, sometimes the compost from like my chickens and things like that. All of that helps it to grow better. So that soil is fertile and it's able to grow. And we've all seen things that is on soil that's not able to grow. It looks very different. There's weeds, it's dried up, it doesn't look healthy. You might not want to eat things from what's growing in that soil. But these seeds, they could settle. If they're on good soil, they can settle and you can actually build a foundation. I know that some of you have seen different places where it's a beautiful garden. I know like near us is the Claremont Botanical Gardens. I have a friend from church that her whole yard is like one of the greenest that I've seen in the desert. Like gorgeous. I know it took me a while to get really good. I don't know if I'm really good. I'll say I'm mediocre. But just to like keeping plants alive, cutting off succulents so I can replant them. I was able to give my tomatoes away as of even today. Wendy and I made omelets like before the show. And that was amazing, like for me, because I did have a desire, but I didn't have the discipline or the knowledge. Like I'd read about how to be better at gardening and just wouldn't do it. And so all of that took time. I had to learn about all of that. And so why would it be that we are a place that the seeds of righteousness, the seeds God would want to plant, why would we be good soil? Well, that's if we have a pliable heart, a heart that is moldable, a will that is flexible to God's will, and not thinking like, okay, I know that this is God's will, but I really want him to bend to my will. That is not us having seeds that are on good soil. What about a repentant attitude? Seeds are on good soil if you have a repentant attitude for things that you have done. Being content, conforming to God's ways, not thinking about it being so constricting, the things that God wants you to do and the way that he wants you to act. That is having the way that you live being on good soil. And so if your life is on good soil, if you are on a good foundation, if the conduct that you have represents God and righteousness and the things that you do, other people will take notice. They will look at you and think, the way that she is moving, walking, striding, going, I want that for my life. It does look like that they are walking in a way that God designed them to, but also like, what is your foundation? And you could tell them that you are planting yourself in good soil. And what does that soil look like? Like I said, your prayer time, your worship, you're studying God's word, putting it in your heart, and that soil keeps cultivating. And then when you are strong in your faith, when it is the fact that you have that good soil, you don't want to let in those other things that are going to choke it out, the thorns, the weeds, the worries, all of those other things, then you are able to produce seeds that will be planted in other people's lives. I want to live that type of life. Is it an easy way to live? No. It's a disciplined way to live, like we talked about a couple of other shows, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Because the seed was on good soil, the impact that their life and faith had a ripple effect on other people. Remember this, ripple. I love that. Like, I love it. You can have a ripple effect on others' lives because I truly believe that there's a ripple effect of sin, or you can have a ripple effect on other people's lives because of the righteous choices that you make, because you want to live a life that is holy and pleasing to God. The way you live, it will affect others for the kingdom or for the world. And you can see right now, just look at Hollywood. Just look at certain musicians. Just look at the choices that other people are making that are living for the world. And they're not affecting the youth. They are not affecting young adults in a way that is going to please God. They're not showing them how to live a life that is going to make the type of choices that God would want you to make. So you decide today that you want to be someone that is living a life that wants to plant those seeds in other people's lives, because your life will have that ripple effect on other people's lives. One choice at a time, living on that good soil that God designed you to live in. All right, I thank you so much for tuning in. I pray, Wendy and I pray for you that you have a great and blessed rest of your day, rest of your week. Bye.